Hey, welcome to episode 10 of the Depleted Key podcast. Today is April 5th, 2021. I'm Tarithal, and joined with me is Spoogy.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's good, Spoogy? Yeah, we're recording midday today because I believe we both have the day off of work.
Yeah, I did. We had Easter yesterday, so pushed recording day back one so we could do all the family things.
Mm-hmm.
But how was your week?
That was pretty good. We started the week off kind of interesting. We had a couple of people leave last week, three of our core raiders, and so we weren't really sure how this week was going to go. Last week we had thought maybe we would extend the lockout since we made it to council, and we decided, let's go ahead and kind of open it up and see who wants to trial with our main team. And it just so happened that your guild was kind of in the process of, thinking about merging with a different guild. And so we picked up you and a couple other people from your guild. And then our second guild, or not our second guild, our second raid team, which raids on Wednesdays, they kind of finished doing what they wanted to do. And so they had a bunch of people that were interested in trialing. And so we ended up bringing in like 7 new trials and re-clearing the raid. And we almost downed all 6 bosses in one night, which is pretty cool. But
yeah, you gave me the invite, and I remember flying out there to the raid, and I saw so many more people past the 20 mark getting added, and I was like, I'm like, maybe I'll get one fight in, maybe. And no, actually, I was able to get in on just about every fight, which was really fun. I didn't heal every fight. I did some DPS, but it was nice to get in there and see a bunch of new bosses.
Yeah, we were kind of, in my mind, I was a little concerned because we had this major healing issue with our guild, right? Like we just couldn't ever find healers to do anything. And then all of a sudden, just this week, we have like 7 trial healers, like just out of the blue, right? And so a lot of it is just getting like, people in to see all the fights, and we're trying to be as accommodating as possible, right? And try to get everyone like a fair trial. But in the process of doing that, a lot of people are having to DPS, and play their off-spec.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. The one time I'm coming in, because, you've told me about your healing problems and finding healers and maintaining the squad.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny to me that the one week I come in, all of a sudden, bam, 7. But it was kind of funny because you sat out the very first fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think you came in the second fight. Was that true?
No, I came in, I think, on the third fight.
Third fight?
Yep.
And you were watching your kind of 21st manning from my POV.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not have ERT set up to where you could actually see everybody's cooldowns and effectively call them out.
Yeah.
Which worked out for me because I'm not going to lie to you. I just went off and went full American Sniper, trying to just blow up the meters as much as possible, which was fun because, those first 2 fights are super easy. It's not progression for you guys. And your DPS was just so insane, especially on Shriekwing. I was expecting a whole separate phase there.
Yeah, no, we just
extra phase,
one intermission, yeah, and then we just killed it before.
Yeah,
before the second intermission.
And that always surprises me, just how fast you guys blow things up. So you definitely have really good DPS. That was new to me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of exciting to see that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So what we ended up doing, right, is we tried all these people, and we essentially, people that have been there and have killed the bosses 5 to 7 times already, right? A lot of people are willing to sit out, and that's not really a new thing. Like for the last couple of weeks, people have kind of been willing to let other people swap in for certain fights, but specifically this week, we asked people, just to swap in and out. And me, myself, I just ended up sitting out the first couple fights because we had a bunch of healers trialing, and I'm a healer. So, but yeah, I was trying to switch in between a bunch of different perspectives and try to find a good, a good perspective to watch from, so I can like call everything out and not burden someone else with having to do all the shot calling. And yeah, the guy that had kind of like set up his UI and everything for me, he was streaming on Twitch and Discord, and I didn't want to watch on Twitch because it was delayed, and then on Discord, because he was streaming on Twitch, everything was like too pixelated to see, and so I had to jump around all these different perspectives, and I couldn't really find one that I liked, that kind of mirrors my setup with all the cooldowns and everything like that. But yeah, I think you had the cleanest profile where I could actually at least see the timers, which was helpful. And then I could see like everyone in the raid and everything. So yeah, that was kind of fun doing that.
And so do you feel like Limit Max, like you were just controlling the world?
Not really. I mean, there's not a lot to do on the first 2 fights. I mean, realistically, there's not a lot to call out. So
Well, then you came in on the third fight, and I got to say that the Hungering Destroyer strat drove me completely insane. Just how simple it was
Yeah.
and how good it was for Druid healing.
Hmm.
Because instead of doing the four corner strat, which was the only experience I've ever had with that fight,
Right.
and granted, I've never had a kill prior to this week, but you split them up into two groups, and I didn't quite understand. I'm gonna be 100% with you. I listened to all the explanations. I listened to everything, and until that very first pull, I was still like 30% in the dark. Like, how is this gonna work exactly? Until I saw it, where everybody that had miasma collapsed on one group. Miasmas went away. Second group of miasmas went to the other group. When it was time to heal.
Hmm.
And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The simplicity of the strategy, and you're like, why would you do it any other way?
That's a thing too, because every other strat and like the default go to strategy that all the new guilds try, they're trying to manage stacks, they're trying to manage, get the markers to the right locations. Okay, this person didn't get enough healing. Who's in the group that didn't heal them? Like, there's all that extra crap that people try to track, and it's so unnecessary. Our strategy, you essentially just have all four miasmas. You don't care what they are. They just go to one side. When they need to heal up, they step in, get healed, step out. That's all there is to it, and it's super easy. And it cracks me up, whenever I see anyone else trying to progress on it. And like the level of complexity that actually goes into like having to like track everything and call everything out and like manage people. And our strategy is just literally, okay, just go to diamond. Okay, you need to heal, just step in. Okay, next group, just go to triangle. Okay, you need to heal. Okay, just step in. And that's literally it. I mean, that's literally it. So
And yeah, once I saw it, I could not believe it. Like, I'm just sitting there, and it was so good for Druid healing because you only have one active spot in the raid that really kind of needs healing. So I could put down my efflorescence
hmm. Hmm.
and get just full value out of it. Plus, any other healing I do on top of that is getting my mastery. I mean, it was just perfect. Like, I ended up, I think I actually topped the meters on that one, and
You
then you
probably
stopped
did.
me on the next one. I think you stopped me.
Yeah, that
Uh,
that fight's actually one of my best fights, the hungering. But I went into the raid, right? I sat out the first two fights, and then I just immediately went into the third raid. And typically, what I do is I spirit shell all the first devastates of each phase, right? So there's a consume, and there's always one devastate that follows that. And that's typically my cooldown. I just time mine for that each time. And I went to do the very first spirit shell, and I went, I didn't have spirit shell. I wasn't telling into it, so I have my rapture, and so I at least have like the glow and everything on my raid frame, so I can see who the miasma targets are. And so I just gave them these ginormous spirit rapture shells, right? So it kind of does the same thing, but you definitely suffer um, some HPS because you're not spirit shelling the entire raid.
which is funny because you told me the game plan.
Hmm.
You were going to Spirit Shell, and then you said the second Devastate, Spoogy, get that one.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And when the first one went off, I was like, oh crap, was that supposed to be me? Because I didn't see the Spirit Shell, so I got
Yeah.
a little confused. And then when the next one went off, I was like, kind of lost in the sauce at that point.
Hmm.
Um, Not because the fight was complicated. It's just by then it was just a new fight. Didn't really have any muscle memory on it, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to take this Devastate. So I think it might have just worked out that I picked the second one, but
Yeah, I think I had you there anyways. Just because we had so many new healers, we do go into pretty good detail, and try to set up all of our healing cooldowns and everything like that. So I think I did have you on the second one, but yeah, that's pretty funny how that worked out. As soon as the fight went down, I'm like, real talk, I don't have spiritual.
and see your progression is on council right now. So
Yep.
all this stuff that was new to me, you guys had already had plenty of kills on, plenty of repetition, and so it really I don't think you told me once, minus maybe that one devastate, really to save a cooldown for anything. So I was able to kind of go in on all these different fights, like four of them, I think.
Hmm.
I went in and just got to just heal, just have fun with it. And it was really kind of fun. I got to focus more on mechanics um, and not mess those up. Which, speaking of,
Hmm.
Lady Darkvein, that was the first time I really messed up.
Well,
Was the orbs in Mythic? You have to make the V.
yep.
because you have four balls that you have to get, and you have three people with making a triangle. And I saw your picture, I saw it, and I ran in there. And by the time I realized I was messing this up, like, wait a minute, this is not right. I went to go back up, and I got put into a seed. And then the guy on the other side dies, of course, because he's way out there in left field. Because I was the close guy, I was the actual V part.
Right. You're the guy that was supposed to be picking up 2 of the orbs.
Yeah, and so I fixed myself. Next pool, I did like 2 or 3 perfect.
Mhm.
Like we went out there and it was like almost instant and no issues. And then we had a guy run out and he went out way out in left field and then he died. And I was actually the V again.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, oh man, come on.
Look at you,
Don't make me look like the bad guy here. Like, you a-hole. But no, everybody saw that he had died and it wasn't my fault. But I was like, oh man, I've already screwed this mechanic up one time. Like, don't do that to me.
Yeah, no, I remember that pull too, that first pull. That was really funny because you jumped into cat form. And we're used to basically having like one feral cat in our raid. And I think you have like the same model as him, right? You pick like the same transmog for your cat.
Yeah.
And so we just saw him standing there and we kept yelling at this other guy. And he's just like super confused in Discord. He's like, what are you talking about? It's not me.
Yeah, I always go into the fastest form I can if I've got to go move around and do a mechanic.
Mhm.
And I don't understand why Dark Vein doesn't. I mean, it looks like it's outside, so I mean, or open enough that you should do travel form.
Yeah, maybe.
Stone Legion, I can move around, travel form, and do wild charge and bounce around and get to where I need to go for, like, say the blades and things very quickly. But then you got to do cat for some of those fights where you feel like you should be outside. But yeah, I messed that one up. That one was on me, and I threw the heat on somebody else on accident. Which that's a guy from like Barbados or somewhere down in the
yeah,
Caribbean,
Trinidad,
right?
yeah.
Oh, Trinidad. Okay, yeah.
We call him Trinidaddy.
Trinidaddy.
Yep.
Dude can crank some kitty DPS.
Yeah, he can. He's a 99 parser. Pretty
Like,
much on every single fight.
We were running with quite a few, like about 4 to 5 druids per fight, DPS druids.
Yeah.
And I mean, and all of the boomkins are fantastic. But then you see this kitty, and I'm like, how, man? I didn't think they were that good, but no, he was wrecking on some of those pools.
Nah, he's good. We use him on like Artificer for like one of the seeds, and yeah, he's been in the guild a long time, much longer than I have been, and he's pretty consistent with that. Like, he's consistently doing like 99 parses, right? It's not just a fluke, and we don't even give him like PI or anything like that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. But
and I actually got the DPS on progression, which was the council fight. And at first I was like, man, this sucks. I'm not that good of a boomkin. I'm like, constantly having to like message the other boomkins and like get tips out of them because all of my time was spent on healing and trying to master that. And you got like some of those guys are hilarious. I mean, 4X, he reminds me of Lights a lot because you say, when should I convoke? And he's like, after celestial alignment.
Yeah, he is kind of like that. He's kind of sarcastic. It's funny. Yeah.
And I think that was also one of the things that made this week so fun for me to raid, was it was not like joining a brand new guild.
Right.
Because I've been in my guild, you've been in this guild, the entire tier. Well, we've been doing like 5-mans together the entire time, all the Mythic Plus. And so I knew everybody. So as soon as I like zoned into the raid, I already had people like trash talking me and things. And,
the second you walk in, yeah.
Yeah, the second I walked in, and it was kind of funny. So,
well, a lot of people listen to the podcast too, and they probably think they know you better than you know them. You know what I mean? It's because they've heard you for a couple hours now at this point. So,
yeah, so it was kind of fun on that front, because I knew all these people, and the ones I didn't know, you've talked about. So, in the same sense, I kind of knew them, through these stories. And so yeah, we're doing progression on council, and then phase 2 hits, and then all of a sudden I love that fight.
yeah.
all the waiters come out and we just get to, do boomkin things and starfall. And
Mm-hmm.
then you see this orange mass move up the meters to the very top.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's fun.
What do you think of
So,
console? I'm just curious. I mean, we basically we did an hour of it last week, but it was basically spent just essentially on like Dark Recital itself, just kind of practicing that mechanic and maybe seeing the boss a little bit, but we didn't even like worry about positioning. We were just kind of letting everyone get a first taste of it. So really,
so
really
this
our
is really
progress started this week.
okay. See, that was really my question because I didn't know how much y'all had going into this week. And is it your GM thick?
No, he was GM for a while, but he thought he might stop and take a break once like all that officer drama happened a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago. He was
So
almost thinking about going casual, and then so they ended up passing GM to Sarah Kill, actually the Boomkin,
gotcha.
and I was gonna just kind of do casual raid leading, but then no one ended up leaving, and so we just continued raiding, and yeah, we kind of co-raid lead. I mean, I think you kind of get that feel as well.
Yeah. So I'll just say the other raid leader then.
Yeah.
He made it pretty clear that he wanted to see Niklas this week.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have that right? He wanted to see the final vampire, basically make it through two of them and at least see that third guy,
Mm-hmm.
which we did. We did make it to phase 3, so I guess we hit our goal for the week, which was great.
Yeah.
But I have to say, coming in, I think you guys have a real good setup for phase 1 and phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
We went into a little bit of a problem, I think, with positioning in, was it phase 2?
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think I say we, basically the raid, mostly you guys, troubleshooted it, and you found a good answer for us to move either to the front or towards the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I got to say, as a DPS, it was very, very, very simple to raid with y'all because go in, you just do your thing. The fight is very well telegraphed.
Yeah.
And especially, all right, so Council in particular, you've got that attendant that comes in. He always spawns on that right back side every pull.
Okay.
And so after that, I don't know if it changed or whatnot because I kind of lost track of it. But so I mean, everything was very well called out. Thick was always calling that attendant out, trying to keep everybody focused. That weak R you gave me for what was it? The dark recital, dance recital.
Mm-hmm.
I actually turned my volume off on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And that thing is beautiful. I mean, the whole left or right thing is great.
Yeah, that's basically how I raid now too. I raid with no volume, and all the weak auras kind of carry the fight, right? Everything important just essentially happens through weak auras.
It felt weird at first. And like the first pull I did, I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. I can't hear the spells. I can't hear anything. And then I got there thinking about it. I'm like, why do I need to hear all that?
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the most important thing that I should be hearing, which I wasn't, which was the weak R. And yeah, it made it so simple. But
yeah, I think our guild is definitely CE capable. We don't raid enough, to really progress. We just do 2-3 hour raids each week. And I mean, guilds can obviously clear the entire raid in 3 hours, but we just haven't put the time in to really progress. But when we do actually work on new fights, I mean, we do get pretty far into them, right? And it's not like we really step backwards too much at all. Like we're pretty good about troubleshooting things. We have good people. I mean, we have the numbers to do everything. We just haven't really put the time in to really push further than we currently are.
No, and also whenever the wheels completely fall off, say a phase happens that we weren't expecting, or just whatever that throws the entire plan out the window, you guys are really good at really quickly trying to, I say, right the ship, so to speak. Because I know that when we hit phase 3, a lot of people just were not expecting what happens in that phase to happen. And the very first time we did it, because I think we got it, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, I think 2 times.
Yeah, the first time I did not even have cooldowns.
Right.
I had went ahead and blown my 3-minute cooldowns. And so when the big giant gargoyle came down, I really had nothing to handle that.
Yeah.
However, the second time, I think we actually got the gargoyle down,
We did.
and we made it further into phase 3. But yeah, that's definitely the hard part of the fight. Like the fight starts then.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have the strategy for that ready, and typically what happens is we'll raid, and I'll stream it, someone else will stream it, mostly just for a VOD, and then I'll go back through later and kind of see what we were doing wrong or if I misunderstood, something strategically. And we kind of already know typically what we want to do there, right? Once we have Stavos, which is the second boss, once we get him to 50% after the intermission, we essentially hold cooldowns. So that way during the third phase, we have everything up and we can just burn everything down. We wait for the attendant, we kill the attendant, then we push the boss over. That way we have a nice long burn phase, uninterrupted by an attendant.
Yeah.
And we actually took a look at the logs and all that kind of stuff afterwards. I think my Disc Priest actually did one of the top damages on the gargoyle, which is bad. So
yeah,
that's not good. I think I was up there in like the top 3 for damage on the gargoyle. So something was not happening right there, right?
yeah.
So that needs to be corrected. I think phase 1, we didn't have Frida isolated ever for the druids, which I didn't realize that until I went back and looked at the VOD. So I think we need to fix that, just to get all the extra convoke damage out on Frida. But we're also missing our intellect buff, during Prague, and so we've got some stuff to improve on and a couple tweaks to make, just to kind of help us push over the edge on that boss. But I think we'll get it down maybe this week.
And see, I don't even know if I was convoking at the right time, because I was convoking when Forex told me to, which was
after your CA was up.
Yeah, after you press that button.
Yeah.
Boss comes down, you get off 2 wraths, 2 star surges,
yep.
and then you press the go button, right? Yep. But then the attendant's coming out as well, and I know Thick was wanting us to save convoke till after the attendant was dead. But
okay.
He mentioned it one time, and I remember asking for. He's that's when he was doing it. So I'm like, all right, monkey see, monkey do. I'm gonna do that then. And so I don't know. I know Frida wasn't going to be isolated, and all that's just going to be wasted damage, right? So like in my head, it was just like, if we're not isolating her, then we might as well blow it on the attendant, then just get it dead quicker, which means more uptime on the boss. But
yeah, that would be my preference. I think at the beginning, I think Nicholas and Frida were essentially being stacked, which is in my opinion incorrect. I think Stavos and Nicholas need to be tanked off to the corner just for about 10 seconds, right? And then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then because I don't think you want to tank those at the same time anyways, right? Because Stavos gives you the run through debuff, and then Nicholas gives you the repost debuff as well. So you can't really tank those together effectively.
Yeah, so Convoke is 4 seconds. You got to give us enough time to get like 4 globals off. So literally 10 seconds should be about perfect for us to do what we got to do. Then you can fix the bosses.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm envisioning too. So I think we have the 2 bosses tanked off to the side and have Frida isolated. In a worst case scenario, you split the damage in between the attendant and Frida, right? In which case you're getting value out of it anyways. Or else you just nuke down Frida, right? And you probably pick up, in between 4 boomkins, we probably pick up an extra 500k damage. So
then you also have to look at you can skip mechanics if you're able to do the fight, because we were right there at the cusp of avoiding that 1 attendant and then avoiding that 1 dark recital.
We beat it a couple times, even with kind of a scuffed setup.
The more we were pulling, I felt like the better we were, like, raid damage we were doing. Like we were just getting more and more and more focused, like a sword that was just getting sharper.
Yeah,
with each pull, and so it was getting better as the fight went on. But I was also kind of learning Boomkin as we went as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we knew that too. I mean, I think everyone that brought you in, we all understood that you're a healer, right? And that you did have an off spec, but you weren't like completely fluent in it, right? So that wasn't an issue. And really, you did pretty well. A couple of the fights, you were actually doing very well. And so, yeah, no complaint there. And I mean, we got everything down that we needed to get down. Dark Vein went surprisingly well. We had a couple wipes on it, but we always have a couple wipes on that boss.
What's
And
funny about Artificer to me
yeah,
is we one shot it.
yeah,
When we went back in with Thursday. Um, we one shot it, and on top of that, I didn't realize that we were on Mythic for some reason. Like I was completely thinking of the heroic strat, and then you guys went to the middle side
hmm
first, and I was like, "What is going on?"
hmm
And so I was actually healing that, and I was just completely lost in the sauce that entire pool, and just kind of like following everybody around
hmm
because we just went in there, loaded up, and I don't know what my brain was doing prior to that, but I was not thinking that, oh, this is Mythic Artificer. You know, you should probably pay attention and learn what they're talking about. And I just completely blanked out or something. I don't even know if y'all talked about it or not. Um,
it's one of those things. Like a lot of the fights are pretty intuitive. Like the biggest thing is knowing what to do with the ghost, and kind of where we stand. Like as long as you're following the group, you're essentially going to be in the right spot anyways. Like the biggest thing is the ghost spawns behind you, and so as
yeah,
long as you're facing the portal, that gives you a pretty good distance in between like where the ghost is chasing you versus the portal, right? You just don't want the ghost to be in between you and the portal. And a lot of it's pretty intuitive, right? Go through, make sure you don't get blown up, make sure you come back before you get blown up, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And so it's not too bad.
Plus, being a healer, I really didn't have to worry about the toughest mechanics, which is
Sure.
probably the only really big hurdle you have to fix in that fight is the seeds.
hmm
Making sure those are handled correctly.
Yeah.
And as a healer, it's just pretty much any mechanic I dealt with myself was also heroic. Um, I don't think I really anything changed for me.
Yeah, there's a nasty debuff called Withering Touch, which actually got nerfed a week or two ago, and so it doesn't hit that hard anymore, but it's kind of one of those things that's really deadly if you're a seed carrier. If you get that debuff and then you run away with the debuff,
Mhm.
that can kill you. But that's something more that, my job is to call that out. If I see someone that has it, that I think they're about to run away with the seed, I'll say, hey, you have this, make sure you pop a cooldown, right?
Yeah, and you did give me that weak R ahead of time, which lets me. I think it puts a big glow.
hmm
I think for Withering Touch, so that was really kind of nice, and I was able to focus heal those people. But other than that, it was cake. I have
hmm
to say that fight is. I am not a big fan of how those traps look once you start combining all the animations.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you have the seeds and you have healing AMZ, you have the healing rain, the efflorescence, you have the dome. The dome was pretty bad. Whatever you call the
Oh,
priest,
the barrier, yeah.
yeah, the barrier.
Yeah, that's
When that
that's the
thing
worst
came
one.
out, that's
That's
one of the worst.
yes. I try not to time that with it, but I try to time it when the hyperlink spark is jumping around because that
Yeah,
does a lot of damage. And we have a pretty nice weak aura that counts down when the traps are about to spawn. You were using that one, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
says trap spawn in 5, 4, 3. It's like impossible to miss. So unless you're just
yeah.
completely negligent, there's no reason really to get hit by a trap. Unless you're getting chased by a ghost and you go through a portal and there just happened to be one like on the other side of the portal or something, right? But if you're just standing around and then you get hit by one, that's just bad.
Yeah, I almost hit one coming back through the portal,
hmm
and I think somebody coming out the portal with me actually hit it and probably took that bullet for me
Yeah.
because I walked out and I was like, "Whoa!" But yeah, that's kind of annoying on that fight. But I mean, that's present even in a heroic. So,
hmm
but it was kind of exciting that we went in there one shot that. So I'd say that fight's definitely on farm at this point.
Yeah. I think, as long as it works out, I think we'd like to get you in on Sun King this week just so you have that 6 boss. And it sounds like maybe you're working on your setup for it with the mastery.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty close to get some of that mastery up. The One of the problems is I don't have the trinket, the bell.
Oh,
I
okay.
do I do have the other one that can proc a lot of mastery
hmm
for me, but I think I could get pretty high up there. Um, I've been kind of messing with it, and it does take a little bit of tweaking with some talents specifically for that fight, but I think I could do a good shot on that.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of has a unique setup for that fight. I know Mistweavers have like a very specific setup. Holy Priest, they have a little bit of a unique setup. We do some stuff in the conduits that you don't typically run outside of that fight. And we take the Guardian Spirit has a reduced cooldown talent, which you lose some
Right.
AoE healing out of that. But everything else is a little bit standardized with the Flash Concentration legendary. And yeah, I know Druids have like unique setups. So I think everyone kind of has a very single target minded setup for that fight. Then it's kind of annoying to having to like leave, and summon people back before that encounter, but that just is
Oh,
kind of the
sure.
nature of it.
And see, for druids, what you're doing is you're picking up a heal that you don't normally take, um, which is going to be nourish. Which nourish you get 3 times the effect out of mastery.
Okay.
And so mastery basically says, whatever your mastery is at, let's just lowball it and say 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Each heal that you have, each hot that you have layered up, adds another stack of mastery. So that heal is going to heal. If you have one, it'd be 10%, 20%, and so forth. So each heal is going to buff it and make all your heals that much stronger. So the entire strategy here is layer as many heals as you can from your toolkit onto the boss as possible. And then once you have it up there, you trank for a split second to get another stack of mastery. You cancel the trank, and then you're just spamming nourish that's got that 3x mastery buff on it,
Sure.
and you just go to town with it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the entire setup there.
Okay. What was your favorite fight this week?
Probably hunger. Well, that's tough because I really did like council. I know some people hate getting in there and wiping and struggling on a fight. To me, that's one of the funnest things if we're making progress.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved getting in there, and we were actually doing good things. We were like, slowly inching towards that finish line
Mm-hmm.
and not really walking backwards. I think, if anything, the one thing we may have struggled with the most was Dark Recital a little bit.
Yeah, that still needs some work. Dark Recital definitely, and I know a couple volleys went off, but that's very simple to fix. So
Yeah. And the Dark Recital I saw it happening or should I say go bad 2 different ways. One was people not staying together, obviously. That was probably the main thing. I think we had some issues there.
mm-hmm.
Then the other part was they were going around so fast that one time or two they came around and like did a full lap and drug the stuff onto the rest of the raid.
I was trying to make a point of that too. Like I said, I watch the VODs after we do, the actual progress for the week or for the night rather. I watch the VOD and make sure, I'm not missing something, and I also watch from someone else's perspective as well, just to get a different viewpoint. And that was something I noticed last week with the Dark Recital was, the goal of Dark Recital is not to do a lap around the boss as fast as possible, or even just to do a lap around the boss with a group. That's completely missing the point. The point is to find your partner, right? And then slowly make your way around the boss, right? But the important part of that mechanic is actually finding your partner, right, and staying with them. You can get halfway around the boss, and it can be done. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is just finding your partner. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people see the group, and just want to move with the group, and that's not really the point.
I can't even remember who it was. I almost want to say it was maybe the Trinidad guy, but I think it was one of the Boomkins or one of the Druids, I should say, because I think it was a cat that was with me.
Okay.
I think I went cat form as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up playing chicken off into like that right back corner.
Okay.
Because like I'm waiting for him to like make the turn, but I'm taking the step out as well, to kind of like stay with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And they never turned because they probably were waiting on me to turn. And so we stuck together. We didn't like scuff the mechanic or anything, but we just ended up kind of like, Tokyo drifting out there to that right corner instead of going around the boss, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that doesn't matter too much. The only reason like people do the lap around the boss and then kind of get back in position is because we have to jump off those stacks, right? And most of the damage mitigation cooldowns are like the the barriers, the AMZs, that kind of stuff. So it's good to have you back in the group, right? But technically, you could just find your partner and go wherever you want.
And it was funny because actually we got to the dance portion one pool, and you said Spooge slow jump,
Yeah.
and I didn't know exactly what slow was, so I jumped. And like, all right, wait a second. I saw one guy was like almost dead, and I'm like, do I kill this guy or just go ahead and jump? So I'm like, all right, he got a little heal. All right, jump. And then the other raid leader came in, just jump him off, just jump, Spooge. And so I was like, all right, and I went ahead and did the third jump like almost immediately after that second one. But yeah, I was like, I didn't know what slow jump was. I thought I was doing a good thing watching the health bars and things, but
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to jump before your timer runs out, or else you instantly die, or else without trying to sacrifice the group, right, in the process.
yeah, actually, I didn't even know that that's what happened if you didn't jump them off.
Yep, that's actually one of the strategies towards the end. Once we have Nicholas, or I'm sorry, Nicholas's last boss we're fighting. Once we have him in between the 50 and 0 phase, towards the very, very end, if your healers are running dry, you actually just sacrifice the jumpers. So that may be something we end up doing. Or at least like half the jumpers.
And you know what? It's almost like a good thing that I'm on a caster because I have like this compulsion to jump
Mm-hmm.
when I DPS. It's a melee.
Yeah.
So the good thing is I'm on a caster, so I'm actually not doing that. But I don't know. It was just a fun fight overall. So I got to say that probably is my favorite right now. Healing, like doing my actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hunger by far with
Okay.
this strategy that you guys have.
Yeah, it's fun. It's simple. Like I like that about the fight. It's good because there's a lot going on, but at the same time, it's still an easy boss, right? With this strategy, it's definitely like a really easy boss, but it's fun.
Yeah, there's constant damage coming in. None of it is ever really too spiky.
Mm-hmm.
That I can heal. The miasma could do some weird thing. But it's a druid fight, like almost in my head, because my hots are pretty much always getting some value.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like so. I don't know. I feel like that's my favorite fight to heal so far. I have to tell you after I try a Sun King pool, but
Yeah. Our Lady Darkvein was kind of the same way. Like essentially, what happens is if you beat the boss to 75% before the first ad spawn, you just skip them all together. And we were having a lot of the same issues, like with Council. You know how we were probably getting 2 or 3 dance recitals before we phased her the very first time to 50%, which is like the complete opposite of what we want, right? We want like 1 dance recital, 1 attendant before we phase her. And it was almost exactly the same way. Like we didn't really like change anything, right? But over time, we got better and better at getting even, just down to 75%, and doing that consistently. And so this guild's really good about, once they kind of get something down, they're really good at doing it again. Like we don't really regress all that much. And, Dark Vein, we're killing it faster and faster. Sun King, I think each week we'll kill that faster and faster. Artificer, we one shot this week. We're just really good at repeating content, which is nice.
Yeah, the whole Dark Vein 75% thing
Mm-hmm.
was kind of fun because you get to go in there. And I was actually doing the Heart of the Wild Convoke
Good, yeah, good.
at the start to try to like maximize as much.
Yep.
But it's amazing how fast that 25% shaves off the boss.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you actually, it's almost like we knock off a fourth of the health and then we start the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was kind of a fun fight, minus the stress. Because I messed it up the first time, I was super stressed every other time I got that stupid orb thing. And I would, I can go cat form and always have some sort of movement speed available.
Mm-hmm.
But people would always try to like book it on foot past me to go the far, basically making me be the V, the wedge there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
2 orbs.
Yep.
And so I was like, dang it. And so I ended up having to get that a couple times. And it always stressed me out just because I messed it up that one time. And I'm like, I am not going to do that again.
Yeah. So what did your other friends from the guild think of the Wednesday night raid? I know they got in. I think we did everything but the last boss. We didn't end up killing Sire, but
so I had a couple friends, all on different kind of levels of progression.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of my buddies have done 2 mythic bosses,
right,
like me prior to this week. and they AOTC and all that, and they enjoyed it. They had fun. They were basically saying, "Hey, if you guys are going to take this second group and do some mythic, that'll be great." They want in, and then I have some of the French Canadians,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to raid in 9.1.
Right.
They actually want to like push some content and do that, but this tier they kind of had a lot of work, real life responsibilities going on, and so I don't think that they had gone past. I don't even know if they had gotten sludge down
Okay.
on heroic, and so they actually got some new kills for them,
Okay. I didn't know that.
and I think they got some gear, which I'm talking about. The rogue
Okay.
and then the warlock.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, those are the two. And so I I believe they had a good time.
That's good.
Only one really kind of spoke English, so I was communicating with him. But the rogue is she like really
Yeah, Zeffy.
speaks.
Okay.
Yeah, she rarely speaks, and she's pretty shy too. But she'll destroy you in some Overwatch.
Yeah,
However,
she did. I thought she did pretty well in the raid. I brought my rogue, which is pretty undergeared, but it's the new Venthyr assassination rogue, which is pretty insane.
mhm.
So it does pretty good damage. But yeah, no, she did good damage. I was kind of watching the other rogues to see, how my rogue was doing in comparison. And no, she did really well. I think she was playing
Yeah,
some outlaw.
yeah. I was watching some TV, I think, and you guys did like the first three or so bosses or two,
Hmm.
and then I came in and I started healing, and I was definitely keeping odds up on them just so they wouldn't, drop dead to some dumb mechanic and let them see more and more of the fight.
I'm sure.
I was kind of pocket healing a little bit, but I think they had a great time. They I think they really liked your Wednesday raid leader.
Yeah.
It was a very chill environment.
I think our main raid is chill too. Honestly, like
Oh yeah,
we're pretty like focused, and like we obviously try to like troubleshoot things, right? But I think overall the environment of the entire guild is pretty chill.
which if I had to describe an ideal raid environment that I would want to be a part of
Hmm.
is competent, but also relaxed.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I say relaxed kind of reluctantly, but it's almost like that chill vibe where let's have fun, let's enjoy it, but let's also put our best foot forward.
Right. Right. Right.
And so yeah, I think everybody really kind of enjoyed that Wednesday run
Good.
and getting
Good.
in there. They killed new stuff, which is always a good feeling.
Yeah.
I think we just kind of ran out of time on Sire. I don't even know if we did we get pulls in.
I think we might have done one. I don't recall, to be honest. It's been kind
Yeah.
of a long week. It always like I can remember like Tuesday through Thursday up until about Friday, and then once the weekend happens, it's just like it feels like a completely different week to me. But
That is true. But overall, it was a big raid week for me because I got more done than I had been. So
yeah, it's cool. I mean, for me, I enjoy seeing that. Right, this week we brought in tons of new people, and we were able to essentially clear 6 bosses in the first night, without dropping a beat. So for me, that feels great, as someone who helps like organize the runs and everything like that. It's great that we're able to do that, and everyone kind of understands things, and we can communicate the new strategies and kind of like put people in the roles that we think are appropriate, right, without wasting everyone's time, and stuff like that, trying to reprog things, right? So
was the shaman, was that a trial?
Spum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's his first week with us.
Yeah, he messaged me and he was like, Spoogy, I'm Spum. We should go in business together.
Oh, did he? That's funny.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the Spoogy Spum subscription boxes. So be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be $15 a month. We don't know what we're gonna sell yet, but we just
Yeah.
like our names together. So
Yeah, that guy he pumps really high. Like I was surprised. He was a guy that we had found in the forums. Actually, we have a forum post, and he hadn't killed any mythic bosses yet. But he was 10 of 10 on heroic, and we pulled him in because we wanted a shaman specifically for council. We wanted that extra damage mitigation cooldown, and
yeah,
so that's kind of why we picked him up. But he's super chill. I mean, every time I've talked to him, he's been like super nice, very charismatic. And the dude freaking pumps. Like, he's crazy. He's really good. I mean, at least my first impression is very very positive. The guy
Yeah,
just, kind of does his job and, has good vibes. So we're happy with that.
ideal raider, right?
Yep.
So, did you climb any keys this week?
I did actually get what would have technically been an IO increase on my Demon Hunter, but I picked it up on my Monk. I did a 16 Sanguine Depths this week. I did a 17 Spires, which I think I've done a 17 Spires probably 4 times now. They're just kind of vibing this week. I don't think I pushed anything major, but yeah, pretty fun week, pretty chill. The Windwalker Monk feels really good right now. I think in every single dungeon I'm averaging about 7k DPS overall.
That's good. I know you were kind of worried about that when they started doing those quality of life changes.
Well, as of like a week or two ago, once they had given monks a little bit of a buff, I kind of knew at the time that they had overbuffed Mythic Plus monks, but the single target rating monks are still kind of gimped. But yeah, in Mythic Plus, monks are just freaking insane right now. I think there was one dungeon where I did like 7.5k overall, and the next person down was at like 5.5, right? And like it's just like crazy how much AoE damage you can do right now. So it's kind of fun to go in there and pump. But
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, this week was Fortified, Sanguine, Quaking,
and
Prideful, of course. So very good push week. And I'm ashamed to say I am still holding on to that 15 key that we probably need to do as soon as we get done recording.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. What is it, by the way?
It's a Halls.
Oh, okay.
Free.
I know one of our guys is looking for a Plague Fall, but yeah, Halls is free.
Yeah, it's free. So I have not done any keys this week that I need to basically knock out a couple tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent that time raiding, and it kind of flipped me this week because my raid days were always Wednesday, Friday, and then I had to switch my raid days to Tuesday, Thursday for you guys. So my schedule was a little wonky this week. I had to change around some real life stuff, and I kind of fell into an Overwatch pit for a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I'm following you on Twitch, and so I got a random email midday saying Spoogy is streaming. I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah, I got some friends that like I'll just randomly start playing some Overwatch because I'll look and like if you're in a run or some of the other guys are in the run, I'll just be like, all right, I'm gonna go mess around for a little bit.
Yep.
On something else till something pops open, and then I'll get messages. Hey, can you stream while you're playing? Because I have some friends that'll be working or something like that, and so yeah, I end up with I've had like 3 or 4 people watching my stream, all friends of course, but
sure.
It's just kind of funny how that ended up working out there.
Yeah, you've been digging that Overwatch stuff. You've been playing quite a bit of it. You said it's actually changed quite a bit since the last time we've played.
All right, so when I say the last time I played, you and I played what?
Probably 2 or 3 years ago. Right?
Yeah,
yeah, a couple of years ago.
And the big changes are they now have roles. Okay, you've got DPS roles, you've got the support, and then you got the tanks.
Yeah.
And you have to have 2 of each, pretty much for an entire 6-man squad. So you can't have, a Widowmaker, a Hanzo, and then, no tank. They kind of force you into those roles, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
And another thing is they've released some new characters that I think really kind of open the game up. There's no... You always have an answer to whatever the other team is doing. There's the fix is out there. It's in the rosters. I think when you and I were playing, the roster was a lot smaller. You didn't have as many choices, and plus people could play whatever they wanted, right?
Yeah, I played a lot of Tracer, and I'm pretty sure if you play Tracer now, you're just memeing. Pretty sure she's trash, right?
That's kind of that's what I've heard. I've heard Ducky say that. I've read it other places, but I've actually been seeing a lot of it.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Which probably just means I'm like in bronze wood tier 5.
Well, it was always good against like Bastion, right? You get your ult up and then you'd zip behind a Bastion, right, and drop your bombs on them, and that was kind of like your purpose. Yeah,
if you play Bastion now, you're pretty much hated by your own team and the other team. Like everybody hates you.
That's good.
I did play a game the other day. I think you actually jumped in for one game.
Yeah.
And we actually did have a guy that was Bastion. His name was Bastion only, which was really funny. And he just rocked it. I'm like, all right, well, that guy's all right. But yeah, the from what I'm learning, everybody hates you if you play Bastion. I don't think you're really supposed to play Tracer, but it's just been kind of a fun alternate game for some of my I should not really say my guild, but like my old guild, kind of keeping those people together.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if you saw, but Lamali actually joined the guild today
oh, that's nice.
on his mage, anyways. But yeah, he was actually running some with some of our guys, so it's kind of cool for to see everyone kind of getting integrated with each other.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good feeling because there's one thing I was kind of worried about a little bit because I already knew everybody coming in, but it was also strange for my other guys. And
Sure.
when I joined that raid, the Wednesday raid, it looked like everybody was kind of vibing pretty good. So I kind of kept my mouth closed and let everybody do their thing, and it looked like everybody was enjoying themselves at least. So
yeah, that Wednesday raid is really interesting because at the start of the expansion we had essentially two raid groups, right? We had the Tuesday Thursday people, and then we had the Wednesday night group, and there were maybe 4 or 5 people from the Tuesday Thursday group that would log on to alts and kind of help with the Wednesday night group. But for the most part, it was like essentially 2 separate groups, and then once the AOTC team killed Spire, we've kind of just allowed Wednesdays to be whoever wants to join, kind of thing.
yeah,
And so you get a lot of personalities and a lot of people that, truthfully, I don't even really know. I don't know everyone in the Wednesday night raid, but we'll jump in there and we kind of all just have a good time, and
well, it was. I would say one of the biggest fears I have of that. Oh, anybody can come is um, probably the personalities you could get out of that.
yeah.
And have to listen to them in Discord and things. But no, everybody was really chill. The raid leader kind of kept a good grasp on things, while at the same time not being like overbearing or anything crazy like that. So it was fun.
Yeah, that raid leader actually, you probably didn't realize this, but that raid leader hadn't been raiding with us before in the Tuesday Thursday group. And she raided with us all week. She was one of the people that was quote unquote trialing, right, with our Tuesday Thursday group. But yeah, she came in and she did a great job. At least I thought she did. Mechanically, her gear's a little bit behind everyone else, so it's kind of hard to judge the DPS right now just because I think she's like 215 or so, where most of our people are 222, 223, right? So it's a little bit of a gear disparity, but we had her like do Artificer, for example, and we one-shot it. We had her actually carry one of the harder seeds, and she seemed to do just fine, so yeah, it's kind of cool. And Wednesday's her deal, so she does all the raid leading, and we just kind of sit back and chill, which is nice.
It was fun. So
yeah.
Did you get anything good out of the vault?
I'm trying to remember Tuesday. It doesn't seem like I did. I might have gotten one piece on my priest. Actually, I did. Yeah, I got a weapon on my priest. I was using a 207 main hand with a 226 offhand, and I got my main hand up to 226. So yeah, that was actually a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah, I've stepped on landmines 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should start setting my loot to Boomkin.
Probably.
I mean, my gear is. I do have a couple pieces that I could do better for healing, but get more haste for just regular healing, not really the Sun King setup, but just get more haste for just regular raid healing. And it's almost like, do I need it? I'm like 223. My druid can already crank, and I think he might be enough.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like probably be a better investment just to kind of get some better Boomkin gear because I've been DPSing in the same gear. Excuse me, same gear pretty much. Minus I change out for a quantum device, which is not really the greatest.
Well, I was actually just about to move to that point. I actually think quantum device is pretty good right now for druids. I don't know if you looked at that or not, but quantum device, Bell, Imperial Ordnance from Spires, I know 4X and Haloshin. I think Anserical, I think they were all farming that this week. Just for some single target damage. I think all those trinkets are pretty good right now.
It is really good whenever, because I have it tied in with my 3-minute cooldown, the Celestial Alignment.
Yeah.
And, if I have a single target situation, you will see me take off on the meters with Convoke. like just regular rotation, and I really don't understand what I'm doing wrong. But if you put me and Forex side by side, um, whenever we're down doing the regular rotation, he just does it better than me. Like he can climb up and beat me on that.
It might be mastery numbers. I know the Imperial Ordnance. I don't know if you have that trinket or not, but I think it would be worth your time farming that. It's a 3-minute cooldown. I think it has a ton of mastery as a main stat. And then it shoots 5 bolts at the target that do pretty decent damage, but then it gives you a ton of intellect, essentially for your CA cooldown. And so I think that's probably something worth your time farming if you can happen to get into like a 15 spires.
Okay, spires.
Yep.
I have to look at it. I've been slowly and my druid already has like 5 different gear sets
Yeah.
based on arena healing, mythic plus healing raids, DPS. So I've been building my mastery set. So something I've been working on.
Yeah, I think that would be probably the biggest improvement that you could see right now, like just from a pure like gear standpoint, right?
Yeah, because I'm using quantum device and I'm using the unbound changeling.
That's not too bad, I don't think, but it's not quite as unused, right? Because you want all your stuff to line up exactly with your convoke. So
If you do it off the bat, it should proc, right?
mm-hmm.
But if you're having to hold convoke for any reason, but then you're not going to have it line up perfect for the rest of the fight.
Yeah,
is the other problem.
I don't know if you actually could use Imperial with IQD. I guess you could because there's a 20-second cooldown, the double on use. I guess you would do Imperial first because I think you get the intellect for like an additional 15 seconds after you cast it, or 20 seconds or something like that. So I guess you would do that, and then 20 seconds later you'd hit your IQD, and I think you'd have them both up at the same time. But
yeah,
I guess I'd have to look at that. But anyways, that's kind of a side note.
I'm not quite too sure about that. I have to play with it, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I could definitely make some improvements, but I'm just kind of not sure where exactly.
You get any dungeons on your alts or anything this week?
I've got like 1 on the hunter, none on the mage, but he has been left behind, so I at least got him to 60. If I want to use him later, I can always work on him with catch-up mechanics, but not too concerned about the mage right now. I'm enjoying the druid too much, and the druid can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I was actually just having that conversation with Sarah. We were talking about the Wednesday night potentially doing like a mythic raid, and he's like, well, I don't have any alts, and like he's like, I love the druid just because I can play every spec, right?
Yeah,
and so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I know for me, my characters, I'm essentially just filling up the vaults on every single one of my characters and just kind of drip farming some gear onto them, and I think that's working out.
What would he bring to the Wednesday group? Because
I don't think he could. I don't think he has anything else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one problem with it, is the fact that you do get that lockout, and just the struggles that we had this week rating was actual troubleshooting things, and it's just night and day compared to what I was having to deal with, which was, can we pug 20 people? That was so painful.
Yeah.
Get a pull in, then someone leaves, you have to do it all over again. Just so much downtime.
Yeah,
and Mythic's hard,
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, you kind of got the benefit of seeing us, had already progged all the bosses, right? So you kind of just showed up, and essentially, as long as you're doing your part right, you can kind of just assume everyone else already knows what they're doing. It was a good week. It was fun. Looking forward to next week, and hopefully, what we can do next week is we trialed people all week, right? And so we had some people sit out, and not every trial got to do every boss. So hopefully this week we can go in and kind of get the people that are missing bosses, the kills on the bosses they missed, and have a good 25-man roster or so going forward.
Well, that'd be good, because I really kind of want to get. I would like to do 9.1 with a good push. This tier, it was very drag your feet almost.
Yeah,
the way I ended up getting AOTC. So it would be kind of cool to hit the ground running for an expansion there. But we can say we have raided together now.
Yeah,
an actual progression boss.
Yep.
We have now done it. So checklist done.
Yeah, that actually happened a lot faster than we thought too. We weren't really anticipating it, but it just kind of happened. Your guild was having issues, getting the people, and we lost a couple people, so it just kind of lined up that way, which is cool.
I didn't think that was going to happen till, like, honestly, like, no joke, 9.2, 9.3 or something.
Yeah.
There even is a 9.3. That's kind of where my brain was. That, like, oh, we said we're going to do it. We'll do it at the very end. It worked out.
It's kind of funny because my current guild, we, once all the officers kind of had issues and all that drama happened, we just kind of thought, okay, if there's enough people raiding, kind of 5 of 10 would be a good goal to set for the expansion or for the patch, right? And then 5 of 7 or 5 of 10 came, and then we're like, okay, well, let's see if we can get 6 of 10 because that would be kind of cool. And now we're almost getting council down, right? And we're like, well, council's going to go down. I think sludge is supposed to be easier than council. It's like, well, after that, I mean, if we get Stone Legion down, I guess we could probably get CE, right? So
right, slowly kind of raise the bar there as you go.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny how quickly we've actually passed our goals. And
well, you have to have attainable goals. One, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a huge problem that a lot of guilds do is they set unattainable goals. I'll tell you, the guild I was in, whenever we raided at the very beginning, we had a cutting edge group, which they put me into, and they had an AOTC group, which was a separate raid altogether.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down one night, I'm like, you got to kind of, temper your expectations there. And we had not even gotten AOTC at this point. We were kind of struggling getting through that, in a couple fights. Sire in particular was tough for us, but it's like, you have to have those manageable expectations, little bite-sized ones that you can reach along the way. And it makes you feel so much better,
Yeah, that always used to crack me up at the beginning of an expansion. I mean, this expansion we're on Zul'jin, which actually has a bunch of mythic guilds, right? Like we're 6 of 10 at the moment, almost 7 of 10. And I think we're still ranked like 94 or something like that. So I mean there's 94 other guilds that are at least, 6 of 10, 7 of 10, which is a pretty good bar, right? So I mean we're at a pretty competitive server, but I remember back on like Arthas, back when we raided back on Arthas, every single beginning of expansion, people always talked about that. We're like, oh, we're like the cutting edge, raiding guilds. And, there was always there were like 2 guilds that ever actually did any progress on Arthas, and everyone else was just like kind of like a low tier, maybe 1 or 2 mythic boss kind of guild. But that always cracked me up because you would see like 15 recruiting posts every minute, right? For mythic cutting edge guilds looking for new members, right? And you're just like, yeah, all you were full of crap because there weren't that many guilds, right?
Yeah, no. And that was that Horde side as well when we were on Arthas? Actually, I think that was Horde side.
Yeah, I think it was.
But even still, it was not that much. And it was funny on Kel'Thuzad. You saw the same exact thing on Alliance side,
Well, yeah, I think maybe I'm thinking of that incorrectly. Arthas may have had more guilds than I remember. I think KT was the one that didn't have very many guilds. No,
there was not many.
Yeah.
And what you see at the beginning of expansion is you may have a lot of guilds like, boom, out the gate. But what ends up happening is your larger guilds over time will just slowly absorb everybody else.
Right.
And they'll take the best, that the mid tiers got. So the mid tiers got to replace with, somebody that's the best from the, the smaller guilds. And yeah, it just kind of works like that. So
that's pretty cool. I mean, I like where we're at now. I'm really enjoying the guild. So really looking forward to that. And speaking of new content, it sounds like 9.1 is coming up pretty soon. I think last episode we had talked about, 9.1 not even coming out till August, but PTR is coming up probably in a week or two, and raid testing is supposed to come out almost immediately. And I think it's usually, after PTR, I think it takes them 2 or 3 months, maybe total, until the patch actually comes out. So we're probably looking at like a June or July 9.1 release at this point.
Yeah, I think PTR was 2 weeks out?
Yeah, and who knows how long that's going to be out. Sometimes it's out for a couple weeks. Sometimes it's real quick.
I think with the current kind of setup they've got going on, it's probably going to take a little bit longer than the usual, 8 weeks or so?
Yeah, probably.
Because there's so much that is built up around that race to world first now. I feel like it's a bigger event. We may not have as many subs in WoW as, say, Wrath of the Lich King, but I feel like the race to world first is a bigger event now than it's ever been before.
Sure, and rightfully so, right? I mean, you have to have some sort of pull. There has to be some sort of hype around the game, right? And that's definitely kind of the hype point of each patch.
And so I feel like I have no basis besides what seems like logic in my head. but I feel like they would probably put in more time than they have in the past. When I say the past, I'm thinking like Cataclysm and
Hmm.
Penland. That because I feel like there's a higher bar now to make sure all the bugs and things are out. Those top guilds are going to get in there and push it, and they are going to do live changes like they have before. So
Yeah. I remember doing a PTR cycle one time, and actually it was probably back in Cataclysm. I remember I was in a guild that was clearing Firelands on the hardest difficulty, and it was actually like pretty elitist back then, right? There weren't that many people doing that. And so I did the next PTR cycle. I think it was for Dragon Soul, and I ended up raiding with Vodka on their PTR cycle, which
Mhm.
that was back when it was Vodka and Blood Legion. And so I got to, I don't know if it was like an alt raid or their main raid. I didn't actually know any of the players, but they were just looking for random people in trade chat that had certain, requirements, certain eye level, etc. Right? And I had like all the heroic, I guess back then, bosses cleared, and so I got to go in and do some raid testing with them. And I remember Blizzard was like talking to us in real time, right? They were actually talking to our specific raid group because I was in like one of the higher end rating
Yeah,
groups on the PTR, right? But they were actually tweaking numbers as we were fighting the bosses, right? Like I was watching the boss's health like literally go up and down, like his total health, right? Not like us dealing damage to him, but they were like literally changing numbers on the fly as we were fighting it. And that was pretty cool to see.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Were they actually talking to you guys?
Yeah, oh yeah, they were talking to us, and I don't think I was with the vodka group, but we ended up killing one of the bosses, I think, in a pug group that was kind of like a similar setup.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking trash to the GMs that were monitoring our kill, and they ended up actually teleporting our group to Dalaran, and they spawned a bunch of bosses from Firelands on top of us in Dalaran, and ended up killing our raid, kind of as a talk trash, get smacked kind of thing. But
That's kind
yeah,
of fun.
yeah, they do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like the old days of MMOs. Like I'm thinking about Ultima Online, where the GMs would actually come in and do things like that,
Hmm.
which you actually could see them in some of those old games. Like I remember in Ultima Online, there was a special like robe that they had, and they could teleport around and do all that. They had the whole god powers thing, but once in a while they would just kind of come into like the main little hub there, the main city, and just spawn just a whole bunch of bosses on everybody
Yeah.
and wreak havoc. And so it's kind of cool that they do that on the PTRs.
Yeah, well, you know that if you go with Firelands, there's the one boss. It's like the snake boss that walks around with a couple dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that boss padding around in the streets of Dalaran. It was just kind of funny. And then I think the Lich King was right in the middle by like the fountain, right in the center of Dalaran. It's kind of funny. It's kind of cool that we got to be a part of that.
That's hilarious. The Lich King just chilling in Dalaran.
Yep. But anyways, yeah,
Well, I would say we should probably get in on the PTR when it does open.
I think we will. We have enough people. We essentially have like 30 people that are interested in raiding right now, and I'm sure we can get together. At least 10 people to go in and test out some of the raids. And I kind of hope they have the mega dungeon on the PTR. It's one of those things that I'd rather just experience that stuff live. But I mean, if there's going to be people testing it, I want to be part of the first group testing it.
But even if you get some of those early repetitions in on some of those raid bosses,
Mhm.
you get in there on day one, and you just move that much faster and pass everybody else.
Well, that was the thing back in Dragon Soul, like I was just talking about. When I did all of that raid testing, I actually had my guild back then jump into the PTR, and back then there was a guild called TG on Arthas that was like they were like world like third or fifth or something like that. Like they were a crazy good guild.
Yeah.
And we absolutely trashed their kill times. We started a lot later, so they had killed everything before we even got raiding. But we had done all this PTR testing, and we just went in and absolutely destroyed these bosses the very first day it came out, just because we had already done all the content right on the PTR.
Yeah.
But we literally one shot, I think, literally everything except for the last boss. And yeah, our guild got a lot of attention back then, just because we were like one of the few guilds actually killing everything in the first day. But yeah, the PTR helps a lot. It helps a lot.
It moves you so much faster
Mm-hmm.
right out the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and getting into those deeper bosses quicker.
Yeah, I kind of wish they wouldn't do that. To be honest, it seems like you remember back in Wrath when Ulduar came out. I don't think anyone got to do like PTR testing for that. So it was just like you didn't know what to expect, right? You just knew a new raid was out. You're all hyped because you just wanted to get your friends on. Get in there as fast as possible to see all the new stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, we got in there and there's freaking tanks and motorcycles
yeah.
and we're like, what is going on? And we came up with some little gimp strategy to we got the first boss down. And I remember we didn't even know how to handle the ads leading down to Ignar or the furnace guy on the
Hmm.
left, the first
Hmm.
one on the left. And I remember we had a strategy that was really gimped where somebody got out their motorcycle and the mage would cast and jump into the side of the motorcycle and take off. And that's how we kited back then.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know how it's possible. I remember that was what we did though. The guy would jump in the motorcycle and take off. And it was Welch. I don't know if you remember Welch.
Yeah, I do actually.
And Jimmy on ISIS, and he would they would pull together, and the big ads would go follow them around where we killed the first boss, and we'd go in and kill all the little ads that were kind of spawning there. Then we'd get one of the big guys at a time while they're still kiting. That was the entire strategy. We had no idea how to handle those ads, and so that was our scuffed fix for that night.
Yeah. I think it would be so much better though if they just, if there wasn't a raid guide out before you went and actually, did the raid. It would make the raiding scene so much more enjoyable.
Oh, I agree.
It's kind of dumb to have to emulate something that was done on the PTR, right?
It would be so much more fun, in my opinion, if we had all the top guilds going in blind.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be cool. I've heard
Then
Limit. I've heard Limit talk about that. Limit Max. He's like, yeah, it doesn't make that much of a difference, which it probably doesn't. But it would be more enjoyable, if everyone kind of didn't know what was coming up, right?
yeah, it would definitely extend out the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we're talking about much longer, but they're killing all these things in a week,
Yeah.
or 10 days, or something very fast. I don't know. Watch them problem solve on the fly. To
Mm-hmm.
me, is much more fun than going through and just blasting something that they have already rehearsed and make slight changes to.
Well, it would be fun just for us to go into a heroic raid, in the first week and literally not know what's about to happen, right, and kind of come up with our own strategies. I think that'd be more enjoyable than watching a tank spot guide or a fat boss guide, going into a raid and then having to know everything beforehand, right?
See, that's one of the greatest things is when everybody's dead on the ground in the raid, and then you hear somebody go, "Oh," because they just read some spell ID or something.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh yeah, we have to stack for that one."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. It's like you slowly piece it together that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the fun part to me.
Yeah. Well, there's always some element to that, but yeah, it seems like kind of back in like Wrath when everyone went in blind, that was just like so much more hype than it is now.
Oh yeah. And what was that old guide system we had back in the day? Was it Tank Spot?
Tank Spot was one. Yeah, that's probably what most people use was Tank Spot.
I think that was the big one for back in Wrath. And then that one guy actually ended up going and working at Blizzard himself. I can't even remember the guy's name now. It wasn't Ian, but it was the other guy. Had like the curly hair. He played a Ret Paladin.
I have no clue who you're talking about.
Okay, whatever.
No, I have no clue who you're talking about. Like, I remember Tank Spot, and I remember that vaguely happening, but no, I don't know those people. I know Ghostcrawler. I mean, but he was a League guy, not a Tank Spot guy.
Speaking of which, they are making a League MMO.
Yeah, it could be cool.
Ghostcrawler. It could be because they already have a good backstory, or they have like, I should say, an extended universe that they can build off of.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime I play any other MMO, it's never been as polished as WoW. And WoW does have so many scuffed moments, but when you look at it compared to anything else, it is just that much better. So
yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, Riot obviously makes good products, but I mean, even Valorant was so freaking boring to me. I mean, it was so boring to me. it's not my genre to begin with, and so I'm probably a little biased, but I didn't think the game was that fun.
yeah, I'm not into the whole CS:GO type of FPS.
Yeah.
So that was not built for me. I didn't like it either.
Their version of Hearthstone was, I mean, it's probably fun. I didn't really give it a good shot, but I played the beta of it, and I don't know, I probably played it 5 times and put it down.
I did play a ton of TFT, Team Fight Tactics.
Mm-hmm. Oh, TFT was fun. I'll give them that. That was really good.
It was wildly addicting.
Yeah.
And but it didn't have the staying ability for me to keep me coming back and playing.
Yeah.
But League has always been fun. I actually played a little bit the other night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's still fun. They completely changed up the store.
Yeah, I like that game when I have 5 friends. I completely like refuse to play with randoms, even if it's like ARAMs. If there's like one
Yeah.
friend with me, I'd rather just not even do it. You know, for me,
Yeah.
I'd rather just have a full team. Otherwise, it's kind of lame. But
No, I can feel you on that one because we ended up doing ARAMs.
mm-hmm.
It was just one of those things. Like we had just slammed so much Overwatch, and it was like one of those things. Like, oh, we can't quit until we get a win. You know, they just could not win that one night, and we're like, all right, let's go get a dub on an ARAM.
Yeah, then you get trash and you get all the toxicity from League. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one of the most toxic games as far as some of the pugs you can get. But
speaking of toxic, next week is Tyrannical Raging Explosive Prideful.
Yeah, actually, not a bad week to be honest.
No, actually, I think it's a pretty good push week, other than explosive on certain dungeons.
Yeah, patty cake and miss.
Yeah, screw that, boss.
Yeah, not going to do it. Other than that, it's not too bad. Raging can be handled, in my opinion, pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Explosive, that shouldn't even be a thing.
It's okay. I hear there's actually some cheese stuff you can do. I know if you're a boomkin, you can take the talent, or it's like a talent or conduit that if you deal damage to a target before it deals damage to you, you get like 5 seconds of 25% crit.
Yeah,
I know that works with explosive, and so there's like some cheese stuff you can do with it.
that's the bottom Soulbind.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Karain, you pick that one, and that's like actually the very bottom of Karain's tree. Is you go straight down the middle and pick that up. Which I was using that on Council.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you had done that. One of our mutual friends actually kind of gave me a tip on that because he had killed Console as a boomkin, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I tried to talk all the boomkins in my guild to doing this, and I don't think they were realizing how strong it was, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of passed along that information to everyone, and I wasn't sure if everyone actually tried that or not, but yeah, it's supposed to be really strong on those kind of fights.
No, it was definitely worth because once I changed it, I was actually able to stay with the pack because the first couple pulls I was like getting left behind, and then once I changed it, it was just a massive orange that would just take off once phase 2 hit because you have those weeders constantly coming out, so you're constantly attacking something new that hasn't attacked you first,
right?
Just giving you that crit,
right? So it's just a permanent 25% crit buff essentially, or at least like at least a good 20 seconds of it, right? I'm probably like a minute cooldown or something like that, but that's a lot of uptime to have crit
while you're star falling on a billion targets at the same time.
Right.
So it was just great. Yeah. So I definitely suggest using Karain on Council if you are a boomkin.
Yeah. You gonna have the time to push some dungeons this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna have some time this week.
Right.
It was just kind of a weird week for me last week because I was swapping schedules to kind of realign to y'all's raid schedule. But it should be good for me. Plus, we have Monday off, and then we have Friday off as well. So
that's pretty nice. Yeah. This week is gonna suck for me. It's quarter end, so I do finance, and it's quarter end for a publicly traded company, and so I'm gonna be probably missing in action most of the week, which it's tyrannical. So I'm not too hurt over that, but I think it's actually a decent week. I don't think Raging does too much on a tyrannical week, and then explosive, as long as you do it correctly, it's kind of a non-factor. So. It could actually be a pretty decent week for pushing.
And they also made it to where explosive can be handled very easily by healers too, or your range healers. So when I heal on my druid, it's very easy for me to handle most of it. Once in a while, I do have to kind of focus a little bit more on healing, and it's so easy to say, "Hey, somebody else has to grab it." But most of them, I mean, I feel like I can get easy week.
Was there anything else you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to actually getting back in the raid, which is something I have not said in like a month.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of looking forward to the raid and getting in and trying to progress a little bit further on that council fight. I know you guys want to re-clear again this week, but I am looking forward to when we actually do get to the council part because I want to do that.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to play with a lot of our pieces again, right? Because we're still trialing people and moving people in and out, and even our main raid nights, we've had a couple of people that have typically showed up for the main raid too. They've been missing, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's kind of challenging from our perspective to make sure everyone kind of gets in on what they want to get in on, but Yeah, it should be we should be able to get mostly everyone in on the pieces that they're missing or the bosses that they're missing, and hopefully we have another fun week.
Yeah, it's fun rating Mythic, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Other than that, not really caring too much about anything else. Don't care about Burning Crusade beta.
Nope, not at all.
That is too many quality of life changes now that I appreciate
Yeah.
within WoW. That none of the classic really appeals to me. I went in hard when the original classic hit,
Mhm.
and I could not get logged into the server that all my friends were on.
Well, I think I was alone. I think it was me, and then I think it was Jimmy, our mage friend. I think the two of us essentially got to actually log in, and everyone else was sitting in like a 4 or 5 hour queue, and so that was just a major buzzkill for us.
Yeah, and I finally got in, and everybody was at different levels, different zones, and I started leveling a little bit, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this kind of sucks in reality."
Yeah,
So,
it's too slow, and yeah,
yes, yeah, and so I didn't even hit max level, and
nope.
so I'm not looking forward to that, but I think it's gonna be a good week. What about you?
Yep, looking forward to raiding. I mean, I always like raiding. Once again, it's kind of a rough week for me at work, so we'll see how much time I can actually dedicate to the game. But yep, looking forward to it, man.
And be sure to check out the YouTube channel, and on there is the Discord. Have a great week.
Yep, have a great week.